Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another film theory reaction. So yeah, this is the first film theory that will not have Matt as its host. Like Tom replacing MatPat on Game Theory, Lee is going to be replacing MatPat on film theory, and yeah, as I said, everything I said in that video still stands here. I haven't seen a lot of Lee, but from what I have seen, he seems nice. And as I said before, I hope that the quality of film theories doesn't drop or anything, that they're able just to keep, get it out of, keep hitting it out of the park and just, keep things going, good. But yeah, with that all being said, this week's film theory, Kung Fu Panda's cycle of evil. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Cycle of evil. Grant, I don't know the most about the extended lore of Kung Fu Panda. Apart from what I've seen in shorts and stuff like that. But from what I know, I think there was a legitimate dragon who was the original dragon warrior. And he went into the spirit realm, and that's where a lot of the myths about the dragon warrior came from. And stuff like that. And then also, I think, if memory serves, from what I've heard of the newest movie, which from what I've heard isn't that good really, they've kind of reset Poe's development. Now, I think if I heard correctly, his thing in this movie is giving up the title of Dragon Warrior and then becoming the new master, as in the master that Shifu was in the first movie. Or wait, was it Shifu? Master Oogway, not Master Shifu. Yeah, Master Oogway, I think he's supposed to take on the master role that Master Oogway had. I don't know how that's supposed to work. I'm not going to watch the movie because, again, from what I've heard, not that good. But yeah, I guess with all that being said, we should probably get into this reaction then, shouldn't we? So, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my game theory reaction, and if you have any suggestions for stuff for me to react to, of course you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can head over to my Discord and, leave them in the actual suggestion thread in there, just to make things, tidier. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing actually started then, shall we?
You want the world you envision. This may be the world you want, the world you envision, but because of your mistakes, your missteps, this is the world you will get. And the only way to stop it, to save it, never listen to this turtle.
Okay.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that knows that the secret to theorizing was inside of you all along. And just to start, I'm sure many of you are probably a little bit confused right now. Why did MatPat's voice suddenly drop a couple of octaves? Is this a true crime podcast now? Well, not exactly. Obviously, I am not MatPat. My name is Lee. It's great to meet you. I own 4 swords, and I've lost a game of Mario Party to Vegeta. Well, his voice actor. He's a nice guy. I've actually been working behind the scenes here on the Theorist channels for going on 10 years now. No joke, I was the 3rd editor Matt ever hired all the way back in August of 2014. My very first episode was the Peach is Dead game theory, but I've since been able to frame my way out of the editor dungeon, and I've had a hand in film theory since the very beginning. I've edited countless videos for the channels. Literally, I tried to count them and I have no idea. They all kind of just blur together at some point. I think I did Gaster? Not Sans' Nest though, that was all Matt.
Yeah, after 10 years, I'd imagine so, yeah.
And I know it's a lot.
Oh, believe me, I know.
That's been floating around really kind of sums it up best.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me.
What are you? What?
But something else that this meme reminded me of, the fact that Kung Fu Panda 4 is right about to hit theaters as of the time of writing. And now that I've taken up the mantle of the film theorist, I can't wait to watch it. In case you don't know, Kung Fu Panda is about Po, a panda obsessed with Kung Fu and the martial arts masters that live in his village. Master Oogway the tortoise, the Furious Five, and Master Shifu, who is apparently a red panda, despite not having any traditional Kung Fu.
Yeah, I believe that. Actually, what do red pandas look like normally? Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, obviously, Master Shifu's very old, so you throw in a lot more gray there, but yeah, I could definitely see that.
Training, Po is named the Dragon Warrior that will gain limitless power, much to the confusion and frustration of all the other masters. By the end,
literally
Po and the
everybody.
others learn that the limitless power is not some magical technique or hidden energy. It's the realization that you were special just the way you are. I was practically raised on these sorts of animated homages to martial arts like Jackie Chan Adventures and Shaolin Showdown, so I really
I remember those.
The wholesome message of loving yourself in 1, the heartfelt themes of family in 2, the killer animation in 3, and that's not even mentioning the multiple spin-off series, and
the
web
shows,
and even a holiday special. But
yeah, God, there were a lot of those. Actually, as a side note, did you know that they supposedly have like 6 Kung Fu Panda movies written or something? I mean, after the poor showing of 4, I have no idea what's going to happen with them. But, oh God, I mean, forgetting what it was, there was one of the shows, I'm forgetting what it was called. Yeah, I think it was literally the first one, which was Legends of Awesomeness, if I remember correctly. I mean, I'm not going to say I watched it religiously or anything, but the times that I did watch it, it was pretty fun. I'm sad that they've seemingly dropped the ball with the 4th one.
But the thing I respected the most, the restraint of not using the song "Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting" until the 3rd movie. That is true power. But of course, when you consume that much content as a theorist, you're bound to...
Wait, they didn't? I remember there being like a music video that they had made earlier, but if they legitimately didn't use the song in the movie until the 3rd one? Oh. Okay, I never... Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Huh, okay.
To notice some inconsistencies, specifically when it comes to everyone's favorite old kindly kung fu tortoise, Master Oogway. See, between the hours of meditation and giving out cryptic advice, like
quit, don't quit, noodles,
he's creating more problems than he's solving. He is not the wise master that this series has made him out to be. In fact, he fails pretty much everyone he has ever taught, leaving his students in a worse place than where they started.
That example doesn't really work because Master Shifu was very much the one that taught Tai Lung, not Master Oogway.
And the most disgraceful part of it, his flaws have created cycles of abuse and miscommunication that threaten to go on and on unless someone steps up to stop it. Look within yourself and cook your noodles, loyal theorists. It's time for some kung fu fighting. Skadoosh! So how in the world am I gonna make the argument that adorable old Master Oogway is actually the absolute worst? Well, it comes down to what I have identified as his 3 major flaws: his lies, his teaching, and his legacy. Let's start with Oogway's first major flaw, his lies. The entire conflict of the first movie is built completely on Oogway's lies about the Dragon Warrior. See, the Dragon Warrior is a prodigy of Kung Fu who would be worthy to learn the secret held within the Dragon Scroll. When they open the scroll, the Dragon Warrior would be granted limitless power, something they love to bring up in the first movie.
You think it's that easy? That I'm just going to hand you the secret to limitless power?
The scroll has given him power!
The prophecy was first foretold by Master Oogway,
I remember
who
that.
said that the Dragon Warrior would protect both the Valley of Peace and its inhabitants.
It is as Oogway foretold. You have brought peace to this valley and to me.
But at the climax of the first movie, we learn that the legend of the Dragon Warrior is a sham. After Po finally opens the scroll, he finds only a blank, shiny canvas, though he later sees himself in the scroll's reflection, realizing that
there is no secret ingredient.
The secret power of the Dragon Warrior was just to believe in yourself.
Wait, did Oogway make the scrolls though? I don't know how ancient the actual story of the Dragon Warrior is, though.
Classic, the power was inside of you all along sort of stuff. Regardless, the legend of the Dragon Warrior was never true, and all of it was something that Oogway made up to encourage others to train in Kung Fu, to get better, and to protect the Valley of Peace. Basically, it was kind of a deterrent. If you're a bad guy, you wouldn't want to attack the Valley of Peace because it may cause the legendary Dragon Warrior to rise up and defeat you. But therein lies the problem. The prophecy doesn't do that. In fact, it does does the opposite, creating more havoc for the Valley of Peace than it prevents. The villain of the first film, Tai Lung, was once a student of Shifu and Oogway who showed a natural talent in Kung Fu, enough so that Shifu considered him a serious candidate for Dragon Warrior. Tai Lung
very much
spent
like
his
a son.
whole life training, Shifu filling his head with stories that he was going to fulfill the prophecy, and because of this, Tai Lung pushed himself hard enough to the point of physical injury.
Who filled my head with dreams? Who drove me to train until my bones cracked?
And yet, as Tai Lung was about to be given the title of Dragon Warrior, shown that the secret of the power was just believing in himself, he was denied at the last hurdle. And why? Because Master Oogway got some bad vibes from him.
Oogway saw darkness in his heart and refused.
This ends up pushing Tai Lung over the edge as he goes on a rampage that terrorizes the Valley of Peace. Oogway's creation of the legend of the Dragon Warrior, this goal dangled before Tai Lung that he worked his entire life for, and that was never given to him with no explanation as to why, was the core reason why Tai Lung did his top 10 anime betrayal. If Oogway had never lied or explained to Tai Lung the truth about the Dragon Warrior instead of just walking away disappointed, Tai Lung probably would have been a pretty chill dude, a dedicated master of Kung Fu raised in the Valley of Peace, and potentially part of the Furious Five. But Tai Lung's fall from grace isn't the only preventable conflict created by Oogway's lie about the Dragon Warrior. In the video game adaptation of Kung Fu Panda 2, a Komodo dragon named Zhao Dan challenges Po because he wants to prove that the Dragon Warrior is not strong enough to stop him.
Gongmen's city should belong to the strong,
Oh God.
the cunning, the ruthless, someone like...
And the Legends of Awesomeness TV series has a ton of villains who have a bone to pick with the Dragon Warrior. Kim the Invincible, obsessed with battling the strongest fighters in the world, travels to China because he wants to defeat the fabled Dragon Warrior. Hundun, a former guard of Tai Lung's prison, blames the Dragon Warrior for all of his troubles and learns Kung Fu specifically so he can destroy him. Quan the Unkillable tries to kill Po partially because he wants to defeat the Dragon Warrior and regain his fame. Even the Emperor's advisor uses Po's title as the Dragon Warrior in an attempted plot to take the throne for himself. I could go on and on, but you get the point. Rather than the Dragon Warrior deterring the bad guys, so many villains in this world only see Po as an obstacle, someone to outsmart or overpower or defeat. If Master Oogway's long-term goal was to get people to learn Kung Fu, congratulations, it worked. But at what cost? The creation of how many villains? And as a result of it all, time and time again, danger is brought to the Valley of Peace. But that's hardly the worst thing that this tortoise has done. Oogway's second major flaw? His teaching. Master Oogway is just not as good of a teacher as this series makes him out to be, and his lessons actually hurt more people than they help. We've already talked at length about Tai Lung and Oogway's refusal to step in and take a guiding hand there, but it goes so much further, especially in the Legends of Awesomeness TV series. Similar to Tai Lung, another former student of the Jade Palace that went bad was Fang Huang. She was personally trained by Master Oogway, but as she became more powerful, she challenged Oogway for control of the Jade Palace. In the show, it's framed as if Fang Huang had darkness in her heart, similar to Tai Lung. But just listen to exactly how what Fang Huang did was described.
As he trained her, she just got stronger. And that's when she started to change. She challenged Oogway to fight, declaring that she would be the master of the Jade Palace.
That's it. No, she tried to murder all the students. No, she tried to enslave the valley. No, I'm going to kill you specifically, Oogway. All she did was challenge Oogway for mastery of the Jade Palace in a fair fight. And what did Oogway do in response? Instead of doing nothing like he did with Tai Lung, Oogway did something even worse. He created an owl-shaped cage that was inescapable, perfectly fit for Fang Huang. Even if it's all true and Fang Huang did start turning evil, which again, I'm not so sure of, all this means is that Oogway didn't even try talking to her. Instead, he saw the dark path that she started down and just decided that imprisoning her in an Iron Maiden was the best course of action, exactly like we saw with Tai Lung. For those of you keeping count at home, that is now 2 times where Oogway has seen someone going down a dark path and done nothing about it.
Okay, so again, with Tai Lung, I was very much under the impression that Tai Lung was very much taught more by Master Shifu. So Master Shifu filling his head with the idea, oh, you could be the Dragon Warrior, was very much on him. That's part of the reason why he felt so much guilt about it. But yeah, this one definitely does. Granted, I mean, in universe, we never see how this like darkness manifests. Like, is it like a core tangible part of like one's being, where as soon as they start getting power, it starts, you know, corrupting them, you know, power corrupts and all that. At which point I can understand why Master Oogway would do that, because if it's something like that, then there might not be a way of, you know, stopping it. I mean, in all the Kung Fu Panda movies, Po has never like changed the mind of his opponents. He's literally defeated them. In the first one, he did the Mushi finger hold, which I think is actually confirmed, sent them to the spirit world. And the second movie, he grabbed the cannonball as it was being shot at him, and then threw it back and causing, you know, killing the peacock. It's been a while since I saw the third movie. I forget what he does in that one. But I know his opponent was like a former, not disciple, but friend of Master Oogway when he was young, that was sent into the spirit world, and then he spent time like collecting the essences of all the great fighters that were sent in there, and like turning them into little like jade pendants or something. Again, we have no idea how this inner darkness really manifests, and how, if at all, it can be controlled is the thing.
In other cases, where there is definitely some innate evil in some of his students, Oogway takes no action before they hurt other people. Case in point, Ding was a Kung Fu student at the Jade Palace who had incredible telekinetic abilities. To his credit, Oogway recognized this talent, but instead of taking Ding under his wing, Oogway sent him away to an order of monks to train. This led to tragedy when Ding grew impatient, using his abilities to hypnotize the monks and forcing them to jump to their deaths. There is just so much wrong with this. Like, if Oogway is so adept at sensing the darkness in people's hearts that he was willing to prepare a cage to lock up one of the Furious Five, his most trusted students, why didn't he sense Ding's darkness and put a stop to it before he murdered all of those innocent monks?
Okay, this one, I'm doing all this because I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Again, having never seen the episode of what this is based around, I mean, like, Master Oogway may be a master in Kung Fu, but I hesitate to think that he's a master in telekinesis. So it might have been that he sent him like over to like the monastery because these monks or at least he thought, were more adept at, you know, at like understanding the power and like teaching him how to use it. But again, he got impatient and stuff like that, so
But these sorts of special talents aren't always recognized. For example, there's Dao Dai, one of the series' recurring antagonists who helped Shifu construct the training hall of the Jade Palace. He also became one of Oogway and Shifu's students, though he had a lot of trouble learning martial arts. But Dao Dai had other skills, putting his talents in engineering to good use before constructing a giant wooden warrior that would fight for him.
I wanted to make up for my lackings, so I devised ingenious mechanical contrivances to compensate for my weak spots.
Honestly, that's really cool, and something that should be celebrated. I mean, Kung Fu Panda is a franchise all about embracing who you are instead of trying to be someone else. So shouldn't this sort of inventiveness be held up? Not if you're Oogway. According to Dao Dai, Oogway felt that
my machines had sullied the purity of Kung Fu.
Way to gatekeep there, my guy. Time after time, in so many ways, Oogway's teachings fail many of his...
Okay, again, playing devil's advocate here. I mean, wasn't the whole point of Kung Fu Panda 2, or not the point, but like one of the things in Kung Fu Panda 2 that like advancing technology as in like, you know, a gunpowder cannon was like designed to be the end of Kung Fu basically? Like, I mean, apart from the end of the movie, how are you supposed to expect a Kung Fu master to fight against a cannon? So, I mean, I could very much understand it that a giant machine like that, Master Oogway could have seen it in like a very similar way. Like, not only would it have sullied Kung Fu, but it eventually might have led to the death of Kung Fu as well. I mean, that's what I think, at least.
making villains out of them when they didn't need to be. And the only thing worse than that, what happens to his successful students. Oogway's third major flaw, his legacy. Oogway has passed down his prejudice for those that he's deemed unacceptable, and even the students that did live up to Oogway's expectations all inherit his worst traits. For example, let's start with Shifu. Just think about how Shifu treats Tai Lung after Oogway denounces him. Keep in mind, Shifu found Tai Lung as an infant and adopted him, raising him as a son. Tai Lung looked to Shifu for approval like a father.
What I ever did, I did to make you proud! Tell me how proud you are, Shifu!
But what does Shifu do when Oogway refuses to name Tai Lung the Dragon Warrior? Just shaking his head and walking away. Instead of comforting his son, talking to him, and encouraging him to keep at it, or going to Oogway and asking for an explanation, Shifu does nothing. This ends up taking a huge emotional toll on both Tai Lung and Shifu, destroying their relationship. And it also turns Shifu into a hardened and cold mentor instead of the father figure he was before Oogway's influence.
Shifu loved Tai Lung like he had never loved anyone before or since.
Look at that face. Tigress, at this point a child, clearly needs support and approval, and Shifu cannot give it because of Oogway's actions. Just like his own master, Shifu has become a bad teacher. But even without taking into account this moment that must have been emotionally devastating for Shifu, there are situations where we see Shifu carry on the worst of Oogway's teachings. For example, we can look at the reaction when Oogway names Po as the Dragon Warrior.
No. If the panda has not quit by morning, then I will have failed you.
You don't belong in the Jade Palace. You're a disgrace to Kung Fu, and if you have any respect for who we are, you will be gone by morning.
Instead of respecting the choice, Shifu and the rest are rude to Po. They intimidate him and try to get him to give up on his dream of being a Kung Fu master, to leave the Jade Palace. They are gatekeeping Kung Fu, just like Oogway did with characters like Dao Dai. What's more, they continue Oogway's questionable tactics on how to deal with students that they deem to be headed down a dark path. In that episode introducing Fong Wong, the owl who was the most powerful of the Furious Five, the rest of the characters start treating Po strangely. They worry that he's grown too powerful and will quote-unquote turn evil, just like Fong Wong did. And you know how Oogway made that perfectly sized owl-shaped cage for Fong Wong? Well, the Furious Five were doing the exact same thing for Po, creating a panda-shaped prison for him should he turn evil instead of, communicating with him. But the biggest tragedy here, after experiencing all of this himself, even Po isn't free from the horrible influence of Oogway and his teachings. In The Legends of Awesomeness, Po meets Tai Lung's nephew Peng, who is incredibly talented at Kung Fu. Po and Shifu decide that he should train at the Jade Palace, but after Po sees the extent of Peng's skill, he gets jealous, to the point that he tells Peng that he must leave. He lies to Peng, explaining that he's
not making the cut.
Now, where have I heard that story before? Po did exactly the same thing to Peng that Oogway did to Tai Lung, telling a student that they weren't good enough without communicating, and the results turned violent. And it doesn't stop there either. In another episode, three pigs ask Po to teach them some secret Kung Fu moves, but Po turns them down and smugly says,
"That's why they're called secret moves? They're secret?"
As a result, the pigs kidnap Shifu and force him to teach them Kung Fu instead, all to get revenge on Po. Just like Oogway and Shifu before him, Po is gatekeeping Kung Fu here and making an enemy out of someone he doesn't need to. And then later, in the series Paws of Destiny, 4 young pandas want to learn Kung Fu, but Po initially refuses to teach them because...
You haven't seen these kids. They're hopeless.
Po, buddy, come here. Do you remember where you started? And also keep in mind that this series is set after Kung Fu Panda 3, which is all about learning that anyone can be a good fighter as long as they embrace what they're good at. Ironic, since Po seems to be more like Oogway than his own person here. The apple hasn't fallen far from the tree.
Or Peach in this case, yeah.
The point is, Po hasn't learned the ways of peace from Master Oogway or Shifu or the Furious Five. He's learned to be selfish, arrogant, and ensure that he's better than everyone else. At every turn, from his lies about the Dragon Warrior to his poor and cryptic style of teaching to even how his students carry on his legacy, Master Oogway did more harm than good for the world of Kung Fu Panda. And honestly, his teachings don't even live up to the core theming of the franchise, in a series all about embracing the best parts of yourself. Oogway is all too eager to find the worst traits in others, the darkness in their hearts, and throwing them away when they don't meet his expectations. And what's more, Oogway's gatekeeping goes directly against the meaning of Kung Fu itself. Though we associate Kung Fu mostly with martial arts, that isn't what it's limited to. In China, the term Kung Fu refers to anything that requires patience, discipline, and hard work. Yes, Oogway is supportive of characters like Po and Shifu, encouraging them to embrace what they're good at. But why doesn't he do that for the others? Why doesn't he celebrate the powerful drive of Tai Lung, the mechanical genius of Dao Dai, the ambition of Feng Huang? Those aren't bad traits, and with the right guiding hand, the right mentor, they can become powerful tools in making the world a better place.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.
Yeah. Again, I'm sticking by the first one that I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that Oogway didn't create, like, the myth of the Dragon Warrior. Like, again, that might be just not seeing every little piece of Kung Fu Panda media that's come out, but I was under the impression that, like, even though Oogway is old, like the Jade Palace and, you know, like the stuff around it is older than him. Though again, I could be wrong. So, yeah, but yeah. Anyways, I mean, Lee, very good first full episode. I don't think, like, film theory is going to be falling off anytime soon. And yeah, I think that'll be it for now. So, of course, as always, original videos linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my game theory reaction. And with all that out of the way, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.